Coming up, marijuana has been known to be good for a lot of things, honey, but never to make you a better mom. Until now, let's talk about it. Welcome to the chat.
Welcome to the chat. I'm Catalina Alers. Henny and all of her leg, you'll see in a second. This skirt has a high little slit in it.
Today.
And we've got Angelia
sharing.
Angelia. You guys are insane. And guest host Nikizia Pinnell joining the panel today. Welcome.
Welcome.
Excited to have you.
Welcome.
All right, so this is going to be a long show. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, so let's get started with a British TV channel defending its decision to play controversial tapes Princess Diana recorded in a new documentary. The personal conversations took place during private sessions with her speech coach decades ago. The tapes feature her speaking candidly and informally about her upbringing, her courtship with the Prince of Wales, her troubled marriage, and her sex life. Now, despite an outcry, the footage is set to be broadcast this weekend. That's a lot of personal facts that she's not here to defend herself on. What do you guys think?
I would think that this would be illegal. I mean, this is 4 hours of conversation, which they did not agree to become public later. So I would think that there would be some kind of legal ground that the family or the estate could stand on. But I don't know. I mean, I would think that would have already happened against BBC television. So I guess it's looking like it's going to air, and I'll be watching. But that being said, you know, I mean, if I were a part of the family, I feel like because she's a public figure, that doesn't make your life public. And I think a lot of us on the other side, I was going to say, a lot of us on the other side think that if you're a public figure, you give us all of you, or none of you. And so we feel like we own you, and that's the thing. And so that's the unfair advantage about being a public figure. But what's really sad is the kids. The kids are going to hear this. And whether they choose to watch or not, it's going to be thrown in their face somewhere, some way. It's going to be in the tabloids for sure. So I think that's unfortunate for someone like Princess Diana. I hope they don't tarnish her image of what we knew of her in the past.
But it kind of makes me question, like, what's the point of doing this? You know, it's been so long, and why would you want to? Of course, ratings. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think at some point it has to come down to, and not just in Princess Diana case, but in any case, even the Bobby Christina case, it comes down to dignity. And as you mentioned, what's it all for other than money? Does someone, how do you sleep with yourself at night? If you are the person that turned the stuff in and that's going to have all this stuff aired out, how do you sleep with yourself?
I'm wondering who has, like there has to be someone who has the legal rights to her story, because if someone wanted to put out, you know, a biography about Princess Diana, they would have to get the rights from somewhere to tell certain facts that nobody else knows. So legally, I'm wondering how someone got away with releasing these recordings that weren't meant to be made public, because in the US we have a thing called a two-party state where you can't record someone without them knowing. So obviously that's the case, but then, like, who signed off on this?
Well, I mean, it was the guy who actually did it. I mean, his name was Peter Sutland, and he said through the recordings, they were made in private. The subjects covered are public record, and it shows preparations Diana undertook to gain a public voice. So he's the one that actually recorded these, and he's the one that's actually releasing these. And part of these have been released before. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to learn in conjunction with the things that we already knew, but I'm sure there'll be something juicy. So
I mean, who else is going to watch?
On.
You're watching? Are you watching?
I love it. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but it's Princess Diana.
But they said it was something like reading somebody's diary, and that's kind of what it is. It's wrong, but yet you still want to do it. So, all right. Well, something else that's often tied to controversy, someone else, Kathy Griffin, the comedian, is back in headlines today after shaving her head. Yep, the actress and comedian who's been under fire the past few months after posing for a very controversial magazine cover. She shaved her head to stand in solidarity with her sister, who is currently undergoing chemotherapy while battling cancer. A series of photos showing her new look were posted to social media. So what does everybody think of her shaved head? I actually think she looks really pretty.
I think
but,
so
you know, my thoughts on Kathy Griffin, which would not be coinciding with those two thoughts. But yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts on Kathy Griffin, but what do you guys think?
Well, obviously they're not good, because I hear a little attitude in your voice.
Right?
You got it.
Oh my gosh.
Aggression.
Yeah, I hear the aggression. She kind of looks like Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
she does a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. But it's unfortunate, you know, that her sister is battling cancer. She lost a brother to cancer as well in the past. And I think it's very brave of her because, as we know, she had a head full of beautiful red hair.
Yes, she did.
Beautiful red hair. But you know what? I guess she's making a statement and she's supporting her sister out of love. More than likely, she's thinking it's just hair. It'll grow right back. So I commend her for that. I think she's very brave. And
of course, it's great, but it's also a little transparent. Like, she was in headlines, you know, only a few weeks ago for something.
Well, this is a way for
really
her to
gross.
make a comeback.
But that's what I'm saying is that, like, are we just going to be like, you know what? We forgive what you did before. This is okay now.
I don't know if it's about saying that we forget, but I think it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, there is some good in her somewhere opposed to what she did. While, you know, some people didn't really see a problem with what she did, but to a lot of people, it was a big thing. So I think that this shows a more softer side of Kathy that we don't get to see when she's usually herself. So I kind of appreciate it. I like it a lot. I think it's very sweet that she's doing it, but we didn't forget what you did.
Right. Yeah, because you know her publicist is behind her going,
you know it.
You should shave it.
Yes.
Go ahead,
and let me
shave it
tell you
all.
why. Here's the shady side of Henny. I'm thinking that when her brother was going through this, she didn't do
the
that.
same thing.
But of course, she wasn't in the headlines back then. But
full
now she
advantage.
is. And as you mentioned, her publicist was like, "Girl,
do it.
Got it.
She brought the
Here's what
clippers.
we gonna do.
She came with the clippers.
Shave it. Yes.
Damage control.
Well, then everybody came to my way of thinking, and I didn't have to say
We
anything.
appreciate it, but it's an asterisk. We appreciate it, but there's an asterisk attached to this.
She said that her career was over. Trump has ruined her.
Yeah.
Then she came out, she apologized. Then she said, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to get roasted. I want to be roasted on Comedy Central. And all of the comedians went up against her and said, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that to you because we want to have no part of what you've done. Even though they don't stand with Trump as well, but they don't want to be the one that's roasting her and being, you know,
not in that
cahoots with her in
way.
any way or shape or form. So she wanted to do the Comedy Central though, so that she could be humanized. In her words, she wanted to be humanized again because
it's better she did this
because we put her on a platform and she was, you know, I mean, everybody tried to take her down after the Trump thing, whether you liked Trump or you didn't. A lot of people didn't agree with that behavior. So she tried really hard to humanize herself. So. Let me sit back and think for 2 months since May, since this happened, how I can humanize myself. I will shave my head. So she came up with a brilliant social media idea.
It's working, sister.
It works.
Out there.
Not sorry.
It's not working.
Okay,
it's
so we are going to move on now to another controversial topic. So did you guys know that a growing number of moms are actually putting down their wine glasses and they lighten up the marijuana, the weed, to cope with stresses of parenthood? Y'all late to the party, news for y'all. So according to the CDC, more and more parents in cities and suburbs are actually using marijuana. Well, the Today Show sat down with the creator of the Cannabis Mom blog, who's trying to break through the stigma.
I've heard from hundreds of moms who use marijuana. They're happy that I'm out there putting it out there. There's so many moms that are still hiding because they're ashamed, and you shouldn't be ashamed.
Girl, please. Now, some of the moms interviewed say that they smoke marijuana every single day because it simply makes them better parents. Now, as I mentioned a second ago, they're late to the party. This is nothing new. Why all of a sudden it's a stigma? It's something new and breaking. Moms have been smoking weed since it's been coming out the ground. Sorry.
I mean, this is news to me. I didn't know that moms were smoking weed all over the place.
They have to cope with them darn bad churn.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back even to the 70s, even back then, like parents were.
I mean, I know it was like cigarettes, but I didn't realize that moms were smoking weed.
That's
like
that's
it was a
weed,
cigarette.
baby. That's cigarette weed. It ain't no cigarette.
They were lighting up. So,
but you know what?
I had no idea.
You know what? To each his own. Here's my thing. As long as they are not hurting anyone, as long as it's not affecting the way that they're raising their kids, as long as their kids are not in the room and seeing it or participating with them, because I know some of y'all trifling ones smoke weed with y'all kids. So as long as they're not hurting anybody, if it's helping them to be a better mom, whatever, we can't judge. Angelia, you giving me that look, baby. I feel it all on my shoulder.
Look, I mean, I can't even believe this woman is saying this helps you cope with your children better. Because, okay, let me just pose one question. Would you hire a babysitter that's high?
That's a good
point. You wouldn't.
Probably. You never know.
Well, but it's not just about being high, because I think what we're forgetting is that like these mothers deal with anxiety on a daily basis. So that's why the fact that medical marijuana is now becoming more legal, becoming more available, it's a much better option. Some experts say it is a much better option than taking anti-anxiety medication or antidepressant medication, because there are way more factors that can actually hurt you when you take those meds.
Yep.
If I was a mother, I would absolutely smoke weed versus taking anti-anxiety meds.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what happens in the backyard when all your kids are playing together and one of the children falls off the swing set and you've got to rush them to the hospital and you're high. You're high as a kite.
But if it's still illegal, then it's an issue.
Let me see what I can do.
It all depends on the kind of strains that you're smoking or how you're ingesting it, because the kind of things that we see, you know, kids in college that they're smoking, that's not the purest form. That's not the most pure form of cannabis. I mean, there's plenty of doctors now that will help you find the strands of marijuana or cannabis or whatever for you and for what you need it for.
Well, sure.
So it's not just like dumb
you can
sitting
eat it.
there.
I mean, there's so many edibles that are
But
much
the effects
lighter
can
oils
also
and
be
things.
different.
I mean, I get that.
And the effects can
but
totally be different.
But the thing is, you're still under the influence, and so that's the problem. Everyone. I mean, I'm sure I've never smoked before in my life, so I have no idea.
You've never smoked
I've
before?
never in my
Are
entire
you surprised?
life. So I probably have no leg to stand on this issue to actually, you know,
Girl,
to
let's
actually
go out
say
tonight.
anything about. Oh my God.
You're going to be a whole different woman tomorrow.
That lively.
Remember what I said yesterday?
She's going to come in
Just
so
kidding.
chill tomorrow.
So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, I just feel like if there's somebody there that's actually not going to be, who is going to be the designated driver, if you will, because I mean, I just think of it, all the girls, all my friends get together and we all have wine and most of them have kids, and that's fine. But there's got to be somebody there that's able to make a decision that's not under the influence.
Sometimes, honey, you do the best thinking, especially the best driving when you are under the influence. Not of alcohol, but when you high, that's when you do the best of everything, because you're like in
your mind.
motion.
In your mind.
So I've heard.
Not in reality.
So
In your
I've
mind.
It's all about being
Because
strict.
certain people, they can't function when they're under that type of influence. You know, they're driving all crazy, they can't see, and then if you have certain things, you might hallucinate.
Like Martin Lawrence did.
Yeah,
That's that dirty stuff. That's that dirty weed that no one should be
Yes.
I think that when it comes to parents smoking in front of their kids, or smoking if you have kids, I think that the biggest thing is that, are you doing it in front of them? And that is one of the key things, because there are a lot of parents that do smoke in front of their
Yes,
kids.
they
And
do.
then
It's
that's
all
the
like
whole
lies.
cycle, because that's what this woman was talking
Yeah.
about. Her father smoked, and so then she smoked because she saw her father do it on a regular basis and thought that it was okay, and she actually started rolling cigarettes for him with marijuana, so she knew what she was doing. I think that's what she was saying.
Oh my God.
Did I describe
We're moving
that
on
right?
now before we get out of our All right, moving on now to some good news for members of the military affected by President Trump's ban on transgender soldiers. Now, as you may remember, the president caught many, including the Pentagon, off guard when he announced the ban last week. Now, a former Navy surgeon says she will perform gender confirmation surgery for free. Christine McGinn, herself transgender, says that any of her patients who were scheduled to receive the surgery before Trump's announcement will undergo the procedure free of charge. Kind of nice, because that's not a cheap surgery.
No.
Plenty of people will go out of the country for gender reassignment surgery.
But I like it's somebody who's actually been through it, because you want somebody who's been through that process before. So kudos to this doctor for saying, you know what, I'm going to step up and I'm going to offer it for free, because I disagree with what Trump's stance is. So, you know.
And that's what made her step up to actually open up a clinic back in 2007, I think it was. She was going through, she went through the process, and she noticed how the resources were extremely limited. The cost was just through the roof. And she was like, this is hashtag BS. I have got to do something. And she jumped in, and they're calling her a pioneer. She's being recognized, and I commend her. As she mentioned, if the military won't take care of our people, the least I can. So she's going to do her part, and good for her.
I agree. It's just sad that it's even come to
this.
that. Yeah, it's very sad that people have to do this now. But, you know, great for her for stepping up and doing her part to assist.
She's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
She is very much.
I mean, her own surgery obviously went really well.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so frustrating, like you said, that we have come to this point, because a lot of people are, you know, pointing out that the fraction of money that the military is spending on reassignment surgery is just a drop in the bucket.
That they claim to be
everything
spending,
else. That they claim to be spending, right? It's
so
just a drop in the
small.
bucket. And so, but for that one soldier who just needs this just to make their lives as fulfilled as they want it to be, for her to foot the bill, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think it's great.
Yay.
All right, well, coming up next, he stars on one of the most binge-worthy shows on Netflix. We're going to learn more about actor Gabriel Sloyer when we come back.
Yeah.